On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Please be seated. We were a few days into a trip to the deserts of Jordan. Tired, frustrated, hot. It had not been the trip that we had hoped it would be. My friend and I had had this amazing adventure. We had spent a week or so in Israel and decided that we would make our way from the southern city of Eilat over into Jordan, where I don't know exactly what we were hoping for. We crossed the border on foot at a checkpoint and had just a few sites that we maybe hoped to see written down on a scrap of paper. This is in like 2012, so didn't have smartphones in our pockets or any of the means to figure out exactly how we were going to get from place to place. I think that we thought we would be able to just cross the border and then hitchhike to wherever we wanted to go. I'm not sure exactly there was no plan. I know that much. Or maybe we would just keep walking out into the desert until we found ourselves somewhere. But anyway, we crossed the border and almost immediately realized that none of our not really plans were going to pan out. This wasn't the place where you just kept on walking or they let you just go off as you would. There was no one to hitchhike with crossing the border from Israel into Jordan. But there was a cab driver there who very strongly encouraged us to get in with him, that he would show us where we needed to go, that it would be an affordable price, that he knew what we needed to do. So, lacking any other options, we went with him and found ourselves kind of strong-armed from one place to the next over the course of the next 3 days, paying what we would later learn were exorbitant prices for less than ideal experiences. Sure, we saw some beautiful things. The deserts of Wadi Rum stretched out before us, these majestic sandstone cliffs. But mostly we were frustrated by the experience of not being able to make our own way, not knowing the language. We were guilty for not having done our homework and figured out exactly what our plan might be. And then we made our way to Petra, the ancient Nabatean city, one of the wonders of the world, this place that we had heard about and seen pictures of. But as you know, pictures often don't tell the full scope and story of a place. We get to the parking lot and we finally part way with our driver and assuring him that no, we did not need his services anymore. And we set off. We set off down the path with a group of other tourists, folks kind of straddling along. The path soon gently descended until cliffs rose up on either side of us, and we found ourselves in this canyon formed by a natural fissure in the rocks. The path wound its way along, dark and shaded from the steep walls on either side. We were unable to see anything beyond the next bend and turn in the path. For nearly a mile, we went further down, enjoying the cool and reprieve from the sun there in the canyon, when suddenly we saw light begin to filter in, something on the other side. We made our way around the last bend, stepped out from between the walls of the canyon, were almost blinded by the full light of the desert sun glinting off sand and rock. But as our eyes adjusted, we were awed by what was before us. This massive relief, the facade of an ancient tomb carved into bare sandstone, massive ionic columns hewn out of the very rock, the ornament on the top of them still visible some 2,000 years after they were carved. It was this complex of arches and reliefs, this ornate design that would be incredible in any age, much less to think of it as something that was some 2,000 years old, still there, still preserved, still a testament to the people who had walked that same way we had, entering into this basin for the past thousands of years. What we felt looking at the treasury, this tomb there in Petra, was wonder. Wonder at what humans so many years before had made, what had been preserved for all of these years, this testament to creativity, to an ancient history that we were stepping into. For the next few hours, we wandered around that basin, seeing one building after another, all of them these same ornate stone reliefs carved into the very face of the rock itself, hewn in the pinkish tan sandstone. And as we wandered, we found that sense of wonder we first had stepping into that basin caused everything else to dissipate. The frustration, the anxiety, the uncertainty of what was happening next, the guilt over not having a better plan, all of it faded in the face of that profound and all-encompassing sense of wonder at what we were looking at. Wonder. It's one of those words that gets associated and tacked on to the Christmas season. It's something that often gets packaged and sold to us, but truly is at the heart of the Christmas story. It's there in the hymns that we sing, Star of Wonder, Star of Might, I wonder as I wander. It's there in our readings, in the story of Christmas that we rehearse and tell every year. It is wonder that the shepherds feel as the angel visits them and tells them to go to Bethlehem. It is wonder that they feel as they approach the manger. It's wonder that draws the animals near. It's wonder that animates the dreams of Mary and Joseph as they ponder the things that are told to them in their heart. And today, as we celebrate the feast of the Epiphany, it is wonder that brings the Magi there to Bethlehem, to the place where Jesus lay, and to his parents. We don't know much about these wise men from the east, these Magi, sometimes called kings. We don't even actually know how many there were. We get the three kings of the Orient that we'll sing about later. But the three kings are just a shorthand for the three gifts that maybe these 3 or 6 or 9 or 12 or who knows how many bring to Jesus. We don't know exactly where they come from, maybe Persia, maybe Arabia, maybe somewhere further east. But what matters most in the telling of the story as Matthew records it is what draws those wise men, those Magi, to Jesus. They see a star that has risen up in the east, this new celestial phenomenon, and they feel a sense of wonder about it. What does this mean? And they come to believe that it means there has been born a king of the Jews, and so they set out towards Jerusalem, figuring that if this child would be anywhere, surely it would be in the palaces of the king, maybe draped in royal robes, decked out in purple, a royal child. But they reach Jerusalem, and still the star burns. And so they continue their journey, wondering where it is that it might lead them, until finally they find their way to Bethlehem, to an ordinary house in an ordinary town, where they encounter ordinary parents gathered around a newborn child, something that happens thousands of times a day across all different places and times. And yet something about this birth, this child, this moment, this star that guides them to this place inspires within them a profound sense of wonder. And as they enter in, they kneel before the child to pay him homage, to worship him, and to lay their gifts before him. Gold and frankincense and myrrh, things of incalculable value at that time and in that place. It is the only way that they can give voice or give action to the wonder that they feel within them. Wonder. It's wonder that leads them to that place, and it's wonder that leads them away from Herod, away from doing what he had asked of them and reporting back what they had found. It is wonder over the dream that they experience that causes them to be changed, to not just go back to their old lives, but to go home by another road. Wonder. On the other hand, we get the reaction of Herod to what these wise men have seen and what they have gone to find. He pulls the wise men aside and says to them, "Go to the Bethlehem to find the child, and then come and report back to me, so I too may pay him homage." Herod's duplicity is clear. He has no intention of honoring this child. His murderous intentions will become all too clear just a few verses later, where he unleashes a wave of violence against any and all children born around that time. Where the wise men reacted to the birth of this child with wonder, with curiosity, with openness to what God was doing in their midst, Herod reacts with fear. He's worried about what this birth of a new king might mean for him, for his position, for the tenuous peace between Israel and Rome that he has helped broker. He's worried about what personal loss could come from there being a Messiah to rise up from Bethlehem and to lead the people. He can't see beyond his own immediate field of horizon, the wealth that he stands to lose, the power and position that could be sacrificed. He has no interest beyond what he himself has to gain or to lose out of it all. For Herod, there is no wonder in the birth of this child. Reflecting on the Christmas story, the religion writer and cultural critic Ed Simon takes these two reactions, Herod's reaction of fear and anxiety over the birth of the child and the wonder of the Magi, and contrasts them against each other and draws them forward into our own day. He sees those two reactions at play in our own time, in our own world. We are living less in an age of wonder, he writes, than an age of anger, anxiety, and fear. Anxiety implores us to retreat, wonder to expand. Ignorance festers in small minds, but wonder spreads out from open ones. Fear demands that we build walls, wonder that we tear them down. I think of the times in my own life that I have experienced wonder. Stepping out from the darkness of the canyon into the beauty and wonder of Petra. Or the experience of holding Francis and Jeremiah soon after they were born in my hands, feeling wonder over the smallness of their hands, the fragility of them, and yet that new life that had come into the world. I think of the wonder that I felt standing at the rim of the Grand Canyon or in front of the Grand Tetons. The wonder that I felt seeing a newborn calf at a monastery in the Republic of Georgia with a monk cradling it in his arms. I think of the wonder that I felt walking through the woods, being stopped in my tracks by a new wildflower that I had never seen or encountered before. I think of wonder over the silent pall that falls over the forest after a freshly fallen snow. Wonder. In those times that I have experienced wonder, even times that I've felt myself opening up, it has a way of cutting through fear and anxiety. It has a way of cutting through frustration my own cynicism, reminding me that even alongside those things in our world that should inspire fear, should inspire anxiety, that we have every reason to despair over, wonder has the power to remind us that existing alongside that and through that is something else. There exists alongside it new possibility. Wonder has the capacity to connect us to the world, to connect us to one another, to connect us to God, to that which is beyond ourselves, that which is greater than us, that which holds all of the world and its destiny in his hands. That sense of wonder is one of the ways that we connect to God. It is through their wonder that God led the Magi to the Christ child. It is through wonder that God led the shepherds to him. It is through wonder that God gathered the disciples around Jesus, and it is through wonder that Jesus led, preached, taught, healed, died, and rose from the dead. As we face a world that is undeniably broken, in need of healing, desperate for peace, in a world that yearns for new life, our wonder is one of the most powerful tools that we have. And as much as the sort of growing despair at the state of the world can dim that, I think our task, our job as people who seek to follow Christ is to never lose that sense of wonder. To never lose that sense of wonder over what happened in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago, but also to never lose our sense and capacity for wonder in our everyday lives. To feel wonder at things both great and small, to look up at a supermoon and to think how wonderful everything that God has created is. Or to simply see that layer of fresh snow and to be grateful and to wonder at the world that God has made. Or to look into the faces of the person that we encounter walking down the street and remember that it is wonderful how unique and individual God has created each one of us. Our wonder is essential in our path of discipleship to follow Christ and to confront the challenges and needs of our world. And so in this Epiphany season and in this new year, may we be a people of wonder. May we hold on to that capacity to let ourselves be surprised by it each and every day when we step out of our doors into the world. May we find wonder in things both big and small. And through that wonder, may we find ourselves more deeply connected to one another, to the world around us, and to our God. May wonder be our guide. May it, like the star that led the Magi to the Christ child, lead us ever closer to God and to one another. Amen.